Welcome to Weaver's Beyond the Numbers Real Estate Edition. I'm Rob Nowak, real estate industry tax partner with Weaver, and I'm joined as always by my partner and collaborator, Howard Altshuler, today the man in black. Howard is Weaver's partner in charge of real estate services. We're also joined by our partner from New York City, Charlie Anastasia. Charlie, how are we doing today?
Pretty good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. This podcast is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. Nothing said here constitutes professional advice. If you have a question, as always, call Weaver for help. You can go to weaver.com to find all of our content, white papers, live casts, and more. That's weaver.com. Shoot it over to you, Howard. Open it up.
All righty. So first thing I want to mention is today with Charlie, he is officially our first repeat guest on the Weaver Beyond the Numbers Real Estate Edition podcast. So Charlie, no stickers for you today since you should already have one, but thanks for joining us.
I am honored.
You know what? We got to send him out a windbreaker then. We got a windbreaker coming out to you.
There we go. There we go. So the reason that we're getting Charlie involved today is, as I've mentioned already, I'm going to be heading up to New York to visit Charlie and our other Weaver colleagues the week after Thanksgiving. Very much excited about looking forward to that. And I keep reading more and more about what's happening in New York and that it's starting to come back and starting to open up. So really, Charlie, want to kind of find out, first off, what should I expect to see when I get there?
Well, I can tell you, you definitely will see a lot more people in the city, which has been really refreshing. As you know, our office is located right in the Times Square area. So every day I get out of the Port Authority bus and walk to the office. And I can tell you within the last 6 months, the people population traffic has definitely increased tremendously. And I only expect it to get even more so with the holiday season upon us. As you may or may not know, the Thanksgiving Day parade this year has been reopened to actual spectators, where last year it was closed down. So with the fact that next week we will have, probably about 1 million people watching that parade as expected, then it's going to be a matter of what turns around going forward as we approach the Christmas season, with the fact that the tree is getting delivered really shortly. So it's going to be a lot of big things happening.
All righty. Well, no pun intended, but let's talk turkey here for a minute then. What's the prognosis for the real estate market?
That was so bad. And people think we plan these things out. We don't. That was so bad. Keep going.
Thank you. So what's happening with the real estate market?
What's still going on in New York, from at least my perspective and what I'm seeing, is that the residential market is really hot. You still have people looking to get, some bargains in the city, coming back and looking for apartments. The retail space is slow, as you can imagine. There still are shops that are closed down, which over the next couple of weeks will be interesting approaching the Christmas season, how that's going to change. And as far as just the average commercial space, as I said, the people traffic is there, but it's kind of interesting. You're going into the office buildings like ours, and they're still not as occupied. So it's the office occupancy is still going slower probably than expected, or from my position hoped. But as far as the tourist trade, that's really ramping up. The Broadway has reopened, movie theaters have reopened. And with the fact, once again, the holiday season upon us, all that's going to bring in a greater influx of people over the next couple of weeks.
So Charlie, I've been in New York for Thanksgiving and Christmas, New Year's in years past. Do you just sort of touched on it? Do you get a sense that there is more tourism that's coming into the city, not just, let's say, from the greater New York metro area, but are people, actually traveling from around the country, do you think, to come in, to shop, for restaurants, for shows, things like that?
I can tell you with 100% certainty that is the case. I actually just went to dinner last night with one of our other partners, as well as a prospect. And at the restaurant, which we were there, till about 10 o'clock, it was packed, which you go back about 3-4 months ago, you could walk into any restaurant, just walk in. We actually had to make a reservation. And I'll be honest with you, we were actually declined 3 times. And due to the fact that the meeting kept getting postponed, we were just lucky enough to get a reservation.
Interesting. So going back to the office then for a minute, what do you think it's going to take to see things returning back to pre-COVID levels, if we're ever going to be back to pre-COVID levels from an office perspective?
Great question. From speaking with my peer group in the city, we're anticipating, as probably most are, that we don't envision at any point in time going forward that there's going to be like a mandatory 5-day work week, people coming into the office. There's going to be some sort of flex schedule from there just based on what's happening. As far as getting the people back, every firm is really having their own thoughts on this. You originally heard it was going to be in the summer, then you heard after Labor Day. Now you're hearing January 1st. And quite honestly, the individual I was with last night said April 15th for his organization.
Wow.
So it's really, people are really playing this chessboard really strategically as far as when they're going to try and push their people to actually come into the office. More and more folks, probably as you see in your side of the states over there, are actually vaccinated, but nobody, at least as far as I know, has actually really pushed the mandated vaccination yet. So, though the restaurants in the New York area, as Howard, you'll see when you come, you do have to show your Vax card as you do walk into any restaurant. No businesses have really come down with the hammer and said, look, we're opening up full time. You have to be here and we want you to be vaccinated. So people are really, gently, that's a gentle topic still. I wish I had a better answer for you, but that's just the truth.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing here, and I did get my app for my vaccine card, so I'm ready to go there. The other thing that I've heard about in the last couple of events and meetings that I've been to is, going back to your comment about them not mandating the 5-day work week, but people who live in this, who live in the New York area, who kind of now see, okay, I may only be going to the office 2 days a week, 3 days a week instead of 5 days a week, are now starting to relocate residentially further and further out, trying to get maybe a little bit less cost of living, a little bit better quality of life, recognizing if I only have to sit on a train for 2 days a week or 3 days a week, I'm willing to do that as opposed to having to do it every day. Are you seeing that too?
100%. I was actually speaking with one of my former colleagues last week, and he actually relocated from Manhattan to Suffolk County. And that's exactly what I was speaking to him about. I told him, I said, are you going to use one of your outlying offices in Long Island as opposed to trekking into the city? And he said, no, he intends when his office does make it mandatory for him to go in, he's predicting that he's going to go in maybe 2 to 3 days a week and just bite the bullet and take the long train ride in, as opposed to, living closer in the city and being able to just take the subway downtown.
Well, that's about all the time we have for now. Charlie, want to thank you for coming on again and being our guest. And Howard, you said you're heading out the week after Thanksgiving.
Correct. I will be in New York on Tuesday the 30th through midday on Thursday the 2nd. So anybody who's catching this before then, if you want to see me in person, me and Charlie, just let me know and we'll try and get something arranged.
My invitation got lost in the mail, apparently. No, I won't take it. I won't take it as any offense. Charlie doesn't want to hear me talk about, I think the Giants are 4th in the division right now, right? So he doesn't want to hear me talk about New York football. All right, that's all the time we have. Again, please go to weaver.com. You can download copies of this podcast, all of our white papers, live casts, and more. That's weaver.com. Weaver.com. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.